if we could take a moment of silence for Arlene Brummer and Mr. Vincent Daddio, who have both passed away. Selectman Stanek, if you would say a few words.
If I may, yes, thank you. Arlene Brummer had served on the Board of Education, on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Library Board of Directors. Her husband Dave had served on the Board of Education as chairman back in the 1990s. Arlene was a very kind and generous person, lived in Seymour. Her husband Dave unfortunately passed away 28 years ago when he was the chairman of the Board of Education. Subsequently, Arlene moved to Beacon Falls to live with her parents, but very kind lady. Vinny Daddio was a member of this board, very involved in town politics, and many people know Vinny from his business, Daddio's Auto Parts. Really, really generous man. We'll miss them both.
Thank you. Thank you. Item number 3, public comment. Okay. Oh, sorry. Public comment, state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is John Hannon III, and I live at 17 Summerhill Road. I've written a quick speech. Those of you who know me know that my quick speeches take forever, so I'm going to try not to drift from this. I just wanted to say that I know some of the events that led to me being here today may have seemed personal, and I'm hoping that a lot of that gets put to bed tonight, especially with the group here in front of me. I think I know all of you, and I consider you all good people and good friends. So I'm here this evening to express my support for Christopher Edwards and his role as Director of Emergency Management. In the interest of full disclosure, I should state that I have been a Seymour firefighter for 14 years and have an excellent working and personal relationship with Director Edwards, though I can assure you that all of my opinions I'll express tonight are based solely on professional assessments. Recently, Director Edwards found himself in what can only be described as a political tug-of-war. I was disappointed, frustrated, and even angry when I saw and read the full stories that were being told and debated. So I decided to come here and speak about the benefit of having a trusted, fairly compensated Director of Emergency Management, with hope that his resignation is ultimately rejected by this board. And that's the key to everything that I'm going to say here tonight. I understand this position had previously been volunteer, but just because a position used to be volunteer doesn't mean it should always remain so. When the Board of Finance recognized that the recommended stipend for such a vital role in our town was too low, they wisely decided to increase it to a level not nearly as insulting as the number suggested by a minimal amount of Salary.com research. This position not only takes definitive action during the most extreme emergencies as we saw last August, but also requires tireless work to ensure the safe execution of large-scale traditional events in town, like the Seymour Pink 5K, Pumpkin Festival, the Memorial Day and Christmas parades, and Santa on the Train. That's just to name a few. Imagine earning $27.39 per day to ensure the safety of thousands of visitors, runners, walkers, shoppers, marchers, parade goers, and politicians at those events. That's what a $10,000 stipend comes out to per day, before taxes, of course. On this subject, I speak from a very unique position. I'm the grandson of the longtime director of Seymour Civil Defense, the original Office of Emergency Management. I'm the son of the former chief of the Seymour Fire Department, and I'm currently the sitting past captain of Citizens Engine Company No. 2, and a potential candidate for assistant fire chief this month. I completely understand what it takes to lead in situations where every fiber of your being begs you to run for safety. And I also understand in those situations the confidence you have in your leadership staff makes doing this incredibly difficult job possible. I've seen Director Edwards in action during all the events I listed previously, in his capacity as Director of Emergency Management, not as the Chief. And I have operated in my fire department capacity under his unified command, and I have always done so with complete and unwavering confidence in his ability to make the right decisions to keep the public and the public's protectors safe. I also understand that perhaps Director Edwards was not the intended target of the criticism, and that it was apparently supposed to be about the Board of Finance changing a plan that was agreed upon by this esteemed board. I can't speak to the communications issue between this board and the Board of Finance regarding the proposed increase in the EMD stipend. I do feel as though similar budget increase suggestions by the BOF regarding much larger town departments during this budget season faced no such criticism, let alone some as vigorous as was presented over the EMD position. That inconsistency, to me, felt like it smacked of politics, and I would only ask that that not be the case going forward. The men and women who protect this town from all sorts of dangers, every imaginable danger, deserve better treatment from those who posit themselves as champions of the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Name and please come up and name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Allen, 1201 Middlebury Road, Watertown. I'm part of Allen's Plumbing Supply in Seymour. I'm also here to speak on behalf of Chris Edwards. All right. I did write this because I think I would go all over the place. I appreciate the opportunity to stand before you tonight on behalf of Chief Chris Edwards and the extraordinary value he brings to the town of Seymour. Not just as our fire chief, but as a leader and a neighbor. As you know, on August 18th, our town faced a 1-in-100-year flood, an event that not only devastated my business, Allen's Plumbing, but also the homes and livelihoods of many residents and local businesses. In the immediate aftermath, when confusion and heartbreak was everywhere, Chris was there. Not just in title, but in action. Chris didn't wait to be asked. He came to our business personally several times, checking in daily at first, then weekly to make sure we weren't just coping, but moving forward. He guided us through the complex and overwhelming process of working with FEMA, the SBA, and even bringing the representatives of those agencies directly to us. On top of that, he shared critical information about available state grants, helping us access resources we might not have found on our own. For anyone who has ever been impacted by a disaster, and I sincerely hope no one here ever experiences that, you know how disorienting and difficult it can be to navigate the maze of aid, paperwork, and recovery. Chris made that process just a little bit easier during a time when we were dealing with enormous financial loss and emotional strain. What I want to emphasize tonight is that Chris Edwards' value to this town goes far beyond a job description or a paycheck. He is a dedicated public servant who leads with heart, commitment, and an unwavering sense of duty to this community. Seymour is stronger because of him. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Bob Pagliaro, 86 Tomlinson Road in Seymour. I've been a resident here for 35 years, and I'm a property manager, licensed property manager. I manage Balance Rock Condominiums, which is your biggest complex here in town for condominiums. And I manage the Claritas Plaza. Again, when I heard that Chris Edwards was resigning or being released, I felt the need to come here tonight. I work with a lot of fire marshals throughout the entire fire chiefs, so on throughout the whole state on a lot of projects that I take care of. I'm going to rate Chris as one of the number one of the fire chiefs that I ever dealt with. Okay, we've seen the tragedy. I'm not going to talk about August 18th, what happened at that plaza. Every time I need his support and his team and all the firemen and everybody else involved, they were here for us. Okay. But I will tell you, I have first line contact with Chris on anything that I needed. All right. And it made my job a lot easier. I talked about Balance Rock Condominiums. I have over 1,800 people living up there. Things happen. Things happen all times of the night, mornings, holidays, and so on. Every time I turn around, Chris was there, and he had his crew, his men, everybody was under control. So he's a good person, and I'm here to support him 100%. All right, and hopefully the town makes a good decision and keeps him in place. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Any other name and
Hi.
address for the record, please.
Frank Del Mastro, 15 Claritas Village Drive, Seymour. I'm here on behalf of Cast Iron Bar and Pizza, and everyone knows on that night of August 18th, the tragedy with the flood struck. I know with our building, our gas meters were ripped off early in the evening, and Chris was one of the first ones there, and he was there all night. When I arrived there the next morning, early, Chris was still there, offering any help possible, anything he could do with us, gave me his personal cell phone number, and showed up every day, probably for the next month and a half. I just don't understand what's going on. He's probably one of the nicest guys I ever met. Like I said, we just opened up there in April, and anything I needed, he just said give him a call, and he would help us. He was also instrumental, one of the only people besides our landlords, in securing a grant from the state when no one else came through. He called, he came down, he showed us how to fill out the application and secure the grant, which was a huge thing. That's why I felt the need to come down and speak on his behalf. So with that being said, I urge the board to pay the man, don't accept his resignation, and hope he's on here, because it's hard to find a man like him. And like I said, he's been there for us anytime we needed him. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? State your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. My name is Edward Z. Hall. My address is 1C Claridge's Village Drive. I'm the owner of Valley Coins of Seymour. My shop is located right next to the nail salon and the liquor store. My shop, the liquor store, and the nail salon took the brunt of the storm because we are at the lower end of the parking lot as it slopes down, and we're right next to the river. My store was 100% a total loss from the flood. Chris was there the next morning asking me, well, after he introduced himself, 'cause I didn't know Chris, if I needed anything. Chris gave me his cell phone number also, which I was floored. You know, somebody from town giving you their personal phone number, that set me way back. But it was much appreciated. He gave us the paperwork to get the grant from the state. He also came around and gave us the PPE uniforms and told us where to get them up the line up by Ocean State Job Lot, and they're free. Go get some. But he gave them out. I didn't know they were up there. I had my head in my work, trying to salvage my store, take as much as I could, get it out of there before the contractors came in to rehab it. I worked 17 days straight, 18 hours a day, getting my inventory out of that shop. I was there morning, noon, and night. And every time I turned around, Chris was zigzagging the parking lot or coming over to me, asking me if I needed anything. And he made sure my paperwork got through to get the grant. I have an x-ray system in the store that x-rays metals. It's $19,000. I just replaced it. I used the grant to replace that. I'm not sure if I would have reopened if it wasn't for Chris, Town Hall, and Seymour coming together to help me. When I first went in there the morning after the flood, I said I was retired. There's no way you recover from this. How do you recover from this? This is something you see on the news out west, someplace else. It doesn't happen in Seymour. But the town came through, Chris came through, the grant came through, and it all came together. And the village is coming back together, Claridge's Village, that is, coming back together, and it's going to be fully open very soon. If you took into account the number of hours Chris worked and you paid him for those, whatever the discrepancy is here in this dilemma here, or more money or whatever it is, he's working for a discount. You couldn't replace him and pay somebody else the hours, the wage for the hours he put in down there. I saw it with my own eyes. I was there 18 hours a day, 17 days straight. Whenever I was there, he was there. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Name and record for the, name and address for the record, please.
Mike Abe, owner of 67 Family Diner. I'm gonna make it very short. If we're gonna lose someone like Chris, that is gonna be a very sad day for Seymour. Chris is a human, is a man full of heart, in August 19, at 8 o'clock a.m. in the morning. He stand with us every minute, every hours. He should not have to do all that, but he did it for nothing. I don't think he got paid extra for that. He just did it. 9 o'clock he was there. 10 o'clock he was there. 11 o'clock he came with a lunch for me and my wife at the diner. Who will do that? Nobody will do that. Until last week, he stopped at my diner to check on everything. Until last week, he asked me, is the contractor is okay with you? Do you need any help? Did I pay him for that? Did Seymour pay him for that? I'm sure not. This man deserves $1 million. And I'm saying from my heart, he deserves $1 million. Are you please do whatever you can do for not losing that man. If Seymour wants to be stronger, you need a man like him. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Hi, I'm Emily Brish. My address is 53 Woodside Avenue, Seymour. I'm just here, as everyone else has been here in support of Chris Edwards. I actually lost my house during the flood that happened back in August. And as you can imagine, for the rest of the state and the surrounding towns, and even for people in our town, you know, life goes on. But for me, I was trying to work full time. I have 2 small children. I'm a wife. I was trying to clean out my house. So I was working from sunup to sundown, just running nonstop. I didn't have time to research what was going on with FEMA, what was happening in the town. But Chris Edwards physically came to our house. He came to knock on my door, all of my neighbors' homes, to let us know what the plan was with getting help with FEMA, what we had to do. And he really just stepped up and helped me in a time where, just the worst time of my life. He has a proven track record in this town, and I truly think nobody else could do a better job than he would. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
My name is Neil Patel. I'm owner of the Woodland Package Store in Calories Plaza.
You need to speak close to your mic. Thank you.
Calories Plaza. And I met the first time Chris during the flood. And he's the only one first thing in the morning when I met him. And we go inside the store. And I remember he gave me a big hug. Me, my wife, we really was depressed. What happened to us within 2 hours. And he the one told me everything will be okay, Neil. We're gonna go through this. And he said, I am here. And he talked to my son who's going to school after 2 days. He have to go first time in freshman college. And my son told him I cannot go. I cannot leave my parents during this time. And Chris came out to tell my son, you gotta go back to school. I am here. And we are here to help your parents. Don't worry about it. And you have to be going to school. And Chris always been with us since then. Since I opened the store, he come in my grand opening, and he always ask me, he bring me all the financial aid paperwork, he helped me out to fill all the application. And he always been, I always, sometime I call him on Sunday, because some paperwork, something I don't understand, he always might pick up my phone, and he always answer the phone. And that's the reason I can say Chris is a very good person to help in really bad time, and he always stays with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Andrew Brish, 53 Woodside Ave. As you know, we lost our house during the flood, and I didn't know Chris Edwards personally before it. But afterwards, with him coming to the house and walking through and just helping secure FEMA aid for us. You know, his role has been instrumental in you know, us coming back to living home. You know, which hopefully in the next few weeks we are able to. So I was watching the meeting that week or last week when he said he put his resignation letter in, and it made me sick to my stomach. I volunteered as a firefighter in Monroe for many years, so I know the dedication it takes to put in volunteer hours into a town, and not even be at a director level or management level as he is at. So to force someone in that position where they're willing to put in a resignation letter just made me sick, especially with how much he's helped me and my family, my daughters. I just hope the town doesn't accept a resignation. I hope he withdraws it, and you know, because he's a great asset to this community, and whatever amount he's being paid isn't enough, and deserves much more. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
John Lombardo, 31 Union Street, also the owner of Bushy Bottom Martial Arts and Fitness. And so I just want to say that, just speak on the support and the work that was done, especially during the flood, and helping with the recovery from Chris and the fire department and everybody else. His availability to us was amazing. His limiting the damage to our space, my space personally, in managing from the flood was phenomenal. He helped me with the paperwork with the state. He was there every day. I was there every day. He stopped by every day, constantly stayed in contact. I think the level of dedication he showed in responding in the emergency was commendable and unparalleled, I think, everywhere. I think the community came together. I think the towns all did their part, and I think that he excelled in that as well. He's also been very consistent in when we were rebuilding and recovering, because my space had the basement, so we couldn't get down there. We had to be escorted down there, so he had arranged for the escorts to come down so we could take the pictures for the state, because for all the risk involved. So he provided firefighters to escort us down there to get the pictures done. He came down himself with me to make sure that we got that stuff done, make sure the space was safe. We also donated our space to secure all of the PPE stuff that was donated by Ocean State, and he coordinated with me access to our space and doling that stuff out while we were cleaning up the rest of it. So I think it's a shame that he's issued his resignation. I don't think we should accept it. I think he needs to stay.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment?
Hello, Nicole Claridis Detria, 12 Woodland Path, Beacon Falls. I am one of the property owners of 16 plus Claridis Village Drive. Extend the numbers. Most of you know me. I was born and raised here in Seymour, and my family business has been here for over 53 years. It started with my dad and his two brothers and an American dream. They realized that dream when it became a reality. They've been in that plaza, and now their rest of their family, their kids, have been in that plaza for over 53 years. I've been in the Connecticut legislature for over 8 years. My sister Themis had served for over 22 years, both of us as public servants. In that time, we were deeply involved with first responders around the state. We were very close with the police chief in the Capitol. We were all involved with, I served thus far under 3 different police chiefs for the state of Connecticut and in the town of Seymour. And we know how hard it is to find dedicated workers. Dedicated, smart, committed, selfless, and just generally a nice person. That person is Chief Chris Edwards. Nothing demonstrates his work ethic more than on August 18th, 2024, with the devastating floods that hit this town. Our first select woman called me that afternoon, told me what was going on in the plaza, in the town, asked me to come down to the Emergency Operations Center at the police department. I got my ride from my husband and I was there. And when I walked in, what did I see? Chris Edwards already at work. doing what he does best, anticipating, planning, monitoring, and all with bad news as he was doing this. We stayed there most of the night, and at some point, I was tired, had to go home, go to sleep. But guess who stayed? Chief Edwards. Every day, this dedicated public servant was there, again, monitoring, helping, assisting, and coordinating the cleanup for the town of Seymour. Not just being there, but applying his knowledge, his expertise to make sure that we were all as safe as possible, business owners and residents, day in and day out. And all these months later, who's the first town out of all these towns that were affected to have their FEMA applications in, approved, and raised and released? Yep, it was Seymour, because of Chris and his team. That's what happened. I'm personally grateful to Chris and my family and our tenants for the great work that he did under the leadership of First Selectwoman Dragonis. It's a travesty if we lose him. And because of the experiences that me and my sister have had up in Hartford, we certainly understand being fiscally conservative, cautious, and responsible. But the money that is being talked about today is a small price in your budget to overlook the qualities and the benefits this man brings to our town. We need to pay him what he deserves. And I'll wrap up a few more comments. When someone, for their own personal gain, makes someone's makes them their personal target, responsible heads must prevail, right? And I always find it interesting when fiscal responsibility only rears its head when it appears to be politically motivated. Shame, shame. Do what you need to do, but we need to keep this man as an employee of the town of Seymour because he is an invaluable piece to making this town work and making us love the town that we live in for all these years. So please reconsider. Don't take his resignation. And the residents of the town of Seymour will greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Is there any further public comment?
Tracy Rappa, 11 Peach Drive. I wasn't going to say anything, but I am now. I am on the Board of Finance as an alternate, and we discussed this position. The HR director for the town of Seymour went to the Board of Selectmen with a stipend for this position. That stipend was what we agreed on. It was nothing politically motivated. We based our decision on the work that the HR director has done. So if you think it's political, it wasn't. It was based on information we received from the Board of Selectmen who approved the stipend, and that's what we went with. Thank you.
Is there any further public comment?
Bob Kosakowski, Pearl Street, Seymour. I wasn't going to say anything like the young lady just said. I personally hope, and I don't think this has anything to do with Chris, it has everything to do about the position. I believe the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance should have a joint meeting and get together and make this position permanent at a good, reasonable fee. I know what the HR director said it should be, but it should be double what he said. That's just my feeling. And that's why I'm asking the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance have a joint meeting and get Chris back here as soon as possible. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Public comment going twice. Public comment going 3 times. Public comment is closed. After item number 12, I would like to make a motion to add to the agenda discussion executive session regarding the potential sale of property at the corner of 35 Cogwell Lane and 136 New Haven Avenue. And then, do I have a motion? Motion by Al?
Second, if you want a
Oh, no, I need a motion.
I thought you read it. I'd like to make a motion to add to the agenda discussion and executive session regarding the potential sale of property at the corner of 35 Cogwheel Lane and 136 New Haven Ave.
Motion by Al,
Second.
second by Bob. Discussion? I need a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries.
Madam First Selectman, I'd like to also add to the agenda if possible, and you can tell me where.
Wait, can I finish my second
oh,
part?
sorry.
Because it's
I
a
didn't know it
two-motion
was
thing,
two
and then
part.
yes,
That's-
sorry,
go ahead.
sorry. I need a second motion to follow executive session discussion and possible action to authorize the town of Seymour acting through the first selectwoman to select 1 acre of real property to PLA Associates LLC located at the corner of 35 Cogwheel Lane and 136 New Haven Road.
So moved.
Motion by Pat.
Second.
And if I may, Madam First Selectwoman, it is PL Associates.
Sorry, thank you.
PL Associates, the A is a typo.
Okay. Motion by Pat, second by Bob Finley. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion 6-0. Okay, Teresa.
And I would like to add to the agenda if possible. Where you see fit
Okay.
in your discussion. Discussion and possible action on our emergency management director position.
Why don't we put that before the, why don't we do that after the fuel cell, but before the discussion of possible action regarding tax lien?
Between 8 and 9.
Between 8 and 9?
All right.
No?
That's after the fuel cell.
Go ahead.
So let me just weigh in on this, Teresa, if you don't mind. We're adding an item to the agenda dealing with Chief Edwards, and I'm not sure of his present status, but if he is still town personnel in the emergency management role, and we're going to talk about that, then under the statute, we should give him notice that we're going to talk about it, and it is his right to have it held in executive session unless he wishes it to be public.
It can be open.
So I wasn't,
But is that on the roll or on?
well, that's what I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
kind of-
I don't,
And I
don't
guess
know.
On
If
the
it,
roll?
if
On the
it's,
person?
if you're talking about,
the role. Yeah.
I'm sorry, let me just get this out. If you're talking about the position and the salary, that's one thing. If you're talking about the individual in any way, then that falls under the statute,
Okay.
all right?
So-
And he would have the right to have it in executive session unless it should be public. So I had no notice of this, so I'm just laying all this out there on you because you know what your intentions are, and the rest of you understand what I'm saying.
So for
I'm sure.
clarification.
So for clarification, it is on the emergency management director position, and I was underneath the impression that he had resigned, so I'm not clear if
The
he's-
letter of resignation has not been accepted yet.
Okay, so it would be on the roll.
Let me say it a different way, and you tell me, it would be on the position, not his role, but the position?
On the emergency management director position,
Yes,
correct.
then you can add that if you so choose.
Okay.
But if we start to get into
Correct. You will stop
Chief
us.
You
Edwards
only can talk about the rule.
in any way, then,
And his session could be open or closed.
well, it's his right.
Right, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
It would be
Right,
his
That's
right.
right.
Yes, correct.
If you talk about him individually. Right.
Just a roll. Okay, it's Teresa saying it, Selectwoman Stanek is saying, Selectman Conroy is saying just a roll. So, okay, go ahead, your motion. You made a motion.
I made a motion to add it to the agenda. We're
And
gonna
we
put-
said,
We are going to just discuss the role of emergency management director.
okay. Pat, you sighed.
Oh, yeah, that's right, that's right.
You sighed, so I looked over.
I'm sighing because I'm reading something, writing something.
Okay. So I can have a motion to add to the agenda? Did you make a motion? Teresa made a motion, I need a second. Second.
I'll second.
Second by Bob. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. How's that? Can I have approval of the minutes from the April 15th regular meeting?
So moved.
Motion by Al,
Second.
second by Pat. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Just one quick typo, I'm sorry, and I believe she's here, Emily Brish,
Mhm.
on page 5 at the bottom, if we can just get her spelling right. I think it's B-I-R-S-C-H there. Is it B-R?
I think they got the
It's
I
just
and
a
the R
typo.
juxtaposed.
Mhm.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay.
If then you can just
Yeah.
do that correction.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I love the West Wing. Okay. Approval of the
Turning my phone off. There's something.
approval of minutes from the April 15th, 2025, section 7-163E, public hearing regarding the potential sale of the property at the corner of 35 Cogwell Lane, 136 New Haven Road. That was 4. And then approval of the minutes from April 15th, 2025, section 163E, public hearing regarding the potential sale of property 100 Prospect Street. Those are the minutes from those are the public meetings from last week.
Are you doing those separately?
Yes. I need a motion to
I'll make a
approve them.
motion to approve.
We'll do them separately, yes. I need motion by Bob, second by Teresa. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approval of the minutes from the April 15th, section 7-163, public hearing regarding the potential sale of prospects for property of 100 Prospect Street. This is just on the minutes, not on selling, it's on the minutes.
So move.
Motion by Teresa,
I'll second it.
second by Bob. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 6, discussion with Jim Baldwin, Director of Land Use Code Compliance. In front of you, you have Land Use Code and Compliance Building Department, OpenGov, it's a folder.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, the purpose of tonight is to bring you some information on the department and some of the changes we've made with the support of this board that we've been talking about over the last couple of years. So, we have fully implemented the online system, and we just want to bring you the information and how it's going so far. It has exceeded our expectations, and it also has given us so much information that I wanted to bring this forward to the board at this point. And we did vet this out through finance and things like that, but let me just start off saying that all the recommendations that we did give to this board and you approved, for example, the fee structure that was approved by your board, also the admin fee and the fees to use the system. We've had absolutely no feedback from them, no negative feedback, only positive feedback, and also the results that I'm going to go over with you tonight will show that. So in the first part of your package, Elise, our administrator, had run some reports, and these are the basic reports, and you'll see a graph there. And this is only going, now we're just gauging this from January 1 to the end of the first quarter, March 31st. So you can see the first number that stands out, which seems finance really enjoyed, was the revenue collected. It was $106,806.80 for the first quarter. Okay, that's projecting us to double, basically double what's been placed in the department for revenue. Okay. One of the questions that we had and that we were all concerned about was this is an expensive system to run. Did we do the right things to make it revenue neutral and it's going to pay for itself? And I think that so far we've proven that that's correct. And again, it also helps the residents. And if you look at the dates in the bar graph, it's basically, it's checked every 3 days, and then it puts in the amount of permit activity. As you can see, it's spiking up towards March, which you would expect, January being pretty much the slowest month in the building department because of the weather, time of year, same with December. So you can see it spiking up. So if that trend stays true through the summer months, in which we are seeing it, as that we're already through a full month of the second quarter, that's going to hold true. And again, these numbers will hold out. What we didn't tally for you, but I did do it on the side. So then you also see 237 permits issued. What we're finding that is running this system, contractors and homeowners alike and everything else find it very easy, and they take the permit. A lot of times, people won't take permits and everything else. I think it's pretty much, known now that, through real estate and through other things, you really want to do that. You want to follow the proper channels because you're only going to have problems later on, either refinancing or selling your home. So this, again, has brought those numbers to 237, which are much higher than what we've ever seen in the past. And then the total construction value of that first quarter, which would go towards, just what people are investing in Seymour, is $5,339,067.06.
What was that number?
It's over $5,339,000.67. And that was, again, from January to March. What also we were able to do is we're able to track all our permits by category: building, mechanical, plumbing, HVAC, pools, you name it, everything that's governed under the building code in the state of Connecticut. We're actually able to tell and look at what the town's doing. And people are reinvesting in their homes, probably partially because people are staying in their homes, but we're seeing a tremendous amount of solar, which I've always mentioned to you before, upgrades in energy efficiency through boiler change-outs, conversion to propane or natural gas, and the like, and also new homes. New homes in Seymour are still being built. Over 10 under construction right now, and the average cost of those homes, believe it or not, are quite a bit in construction value. So Seymour's really doing really well in the building department as far as looking at that. Where the statistics are proving out that people are reinvesting in their homes. That we I know we definitely have a way to go, gap in our commercial and our industrial base, where we're trying to get people to invest in that sector, but this is basically speaks to what's happening with the residents. You also have, I believe in there, what comes along with this is also, and I'm not bringing this up for any other reason, but you do have a inspection log that's kept, and you can see that inspection log also has gone up, because what happens with more permits are going out, obviously there's more inspections that have to take place. We're averaging, this time of year, we normally average about 40. We're doing over 50, 55, 60 at this point of the year. And that increases, and that always has increased as the building season gets a little bit more active.
55, 60 per month? Is that per month?
That's per month.
Per month.
Yeah, that's per month of scheduling. So I just wanted to bring these numbers to the board and give you this information. I think it's been very successful, and I thank the board for the support they've given us. As you know, we looked at probably 5 different vendors that offered the software. We went with the company that we're dealing with, OpenGov, and who's also the leader. I believe they're the leader in the United States now, you know, but New England, they're definitely the leader. In Connecticut, they probably hold 90% of the market. And that's the other thing, is once you have an account with them, so whether a contractor's working in, say, Oxford, who runs it, Stratford's running it, a lot of other towns are running it, you're already in the system. It makes it real easy. So you're not uploading all different things and everything else. So it's kind of like having your own account with all the towns. They're able to upload their certificates of insurance, which is also really important because the state mandates us to make sure that we're checking certificates of insurance for liability, that they have liability. Also, consumer protection has really come down. They're trying to enforce. They've hired 5 more inspectors in consumer protection to protect the public from unscrupulous contractors and things like that. So they want us to make sure we're checking their licenses. So that's uploaded. So basically what happens now is every morning, and it all comes in through email, the system takes, the applicant will go ahead and apply, and then this is routed to all the different departments. So whether it's, no matter what's going on, all the users in town hall, which is like the tax collector, fire marshals, public works director, town engineer, wetlands, zoning, and everything else, that comes to their screen, and that all has to come through, and they have to look at it, approve it, and then it moves to the next step. And that actually can happen very rapidly. That no longer does anybody have to chase anybody around town hall, go find a tax collector. They don't have to go to the assessor anymore because this is all tied into our GIS. So if we were to bring up, you know, if Mr. Stanek was doing something like that, we type in his address or his name, it comes up, we have all his property records right in front of us. We don't have to chase another department around like we used to do. Sewer authorities included with that. And again, whether we know pretty much everything. And our turnaround time is pretty quick. A little bit more time for me sitting in front of a computer screen, but again, it's all done, and it has to clear administration first. And the big thing is you have to pay. You have to pay your bill because you don't move on unless you pay the town of Seymour, and then we can all go to work. So it's working really good. So if anybody has any questions. Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. I do, someone recently went through your department. I think they were doing an accessory dwelling unit or so, and they told me that it was the most streamlined process they've ever seen, and that your office was just so helpful. So
That's good
thank
to
you
hear.
for all this that you've been working on.
Yeah, we have a
Makes
great
difference.
staff, and our admins are terrific.
Yeah.
But we are doing our job because we are being appealed to the state, and we are being sued a couple times, right, Rich? So, just shows you not everybody's happy, but we do.
And I think you brought a suit or two.
Yeah.
Along with it.
Yeah, so we've got some stuff going on, but.
I'm just happy you're not chasing money. That's great that you just get that done right up front.
It is, and also another good thing is, you know, you're probably all aware we're going to be moving over to the community center, and that's coming out really, really well, and that's going to only help all of this. But we do have the portal here. We had some of the older contractors. They're great. Be like me now, that you know it's not really computer savvy. They come right here, and Elise or Leah or something like that go out and just do it for them, and they're like, you know, I mean, they're really helpful. And we had one woman came in. She was legally blind. She came in. She wanted to do all of it, and again, we just take care of it for them. It's, you know, it's no extra thing, but we're able to put it in. Now that record's right in their file too. So no longer, that's the other thing, all this is uploaded in the cloud, and we can pull it back at any time, so no more of those crazy archives that we used to have, and people are all over the place.
Great job.
So,
Great.
Thank
yeah,
you.
it worked out good.
Thank you.
If I may.
Absolutely.
Is your office tracking the open permits that are active, the recent ones, so that you don't have people like me bothering you 7 years later asking if a permit, if you can close out a permit.
Right, so now we know, and if you look in there, I believe on one of them, Fred, you can see on this report,
I was looking, but I.
it'll say active.
I see the everything.
Right, so it moves it along, and it'll tell us automatically for a title searcher that that permit is open, still active, or if it's been closed. Okay, so the answer is yes. That's great for the title searchers. And then the other thing is, it automatically, everything that we do goes back to the applicant in email. So let's just say you have your roof done. Okay, simple, re-roof. Okay, again, that permit will stay open forever. Okay, and that's, Fred, you know that. That would stay open forever. Or you have your boiler installed. It'll never close, right? Even if it was inspected, it's going to be a little tag stuck in a file. When we close the permit now, right, the applicant, in for case of roofing, because it happens so fast, has to upload all the photos, okay, and a lot of them use drones now,
Right.
of all the work that's done, okay, the taping of the seams, the underlayments, and everything else. I accept those photos, able to look at those photos, they stay in the record, and then I close that permit and it comes down, and it actually sends them a certificate with all the information that they filled out with the approval stamp, and also a certificate of compliance, and it'll also state the code year that they worked under. So I think moving forward, it'll probably be well in the future, with all the title searchers and everything else, that issue's gonna go away.
But if you see a permit open for X months, do you chase down the property owner
We
or the
could.
contractor?
We could do that. Elise looks at those reports, and in the system, it'll have a graphic. It'll either have like an open clipboard on it that tells you that's still being worked on. It'll have a check mark whether it's done. It'll turn green when it's complete. So yeah, we could look at that. We would still have to go back and search, unless we pulled the whole scroll up and just went by, which she does right now. But I think in the future, and OpenGov's changing this, they're going to have a fix on that. It's all going to go color coded.
Okay.
Which is something that, we're going to do. We're looking at going to, we checked with Kirk. I don't know if we got this approved, but OpenGov is having their Northeast training center, Northeast training in Boston this year. So we did look into maybe funding that, and then probably 2 of us from our office would go and keep up with the training. If we don't do it this year, we'll probably want to hit 1, but right now we're still under their support, because the way we bought on, they have to give us that year of support. So probably in the future, it's like anything, I think you'd have to stay up because they're changing it all the time. But I don't think I would go because I'm probably the least proficient at it. I'm still a hunt and peck guy, but I figure if I could run it, I'm doing pretty good. But everybody in the office is really up to speed with it.
Thank you very much. Fine job.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Item number 7, discussion of possible action regarding the potential fuel cell project for the benefit of the town of Seymour. Aaron Alibrio from Johnson Controls was supposed to be here in person, but he's joining us Zoom. He had a family emergency he had to be at. As you know, fuel cells is good for economic development. It's something we can offer to a business that they could buy the electricity from us, and it's something that we can use to keep our utilities down in the town as well for our buildings. Hey, Aaron. Can you hear us?
Aaron, can you hear?
There he is. Oh, he's like behind.
Is he delayed?
Eric, you ready?
I am.
If you want to put the presentation up so everyone can hear you.
Fantastic. Can you see the presentation?
No.
Not yet.
You gotta share it.
Share your screen. Come on, Aspen. 3 years of Zoom meetings? I don't want to see that. No offense.
Can we see it now?
Yeah.
Hold on. Go ahead, Eric.
Great, thank you. Appreciate the time tonight for the select board to allow me and my company to present to you a design-build fuel cell project that includes a WPCA scope. I'll talk a little bit about the company. I'll give a project overview. I'll show you the financial analysis and then entertain some questions. So Johnson Controls has been in operations for 140 years. I think one of the things I'm most proud about is that we are in 90% of the world's most iconic buildings. Globally, we manufacture HVAC equipment, fire and security, and building controls. I work for a division that's called Sustainable Infrastructure, and I work with municipalities and school districts on creative project deliveries that are all around trying to do budget neutral and preserve cash and save energy. Some of you may be familiar with our first engagement when we provided a successful performance contract. Originally, the value was $9.5 million, but we included an additional $5 million worth of scope, and the town of Seymour did not need to borrow any more money. So it was a very successful project, and looking forward to this next phase. Fuel cell is obviously the future of power. It's been around since the 70s. It's not new technology. What is nice is the advancements of this technology. And so the fuel cell that's being proposed will run on natural gas. It is also future-proof ready to be able to run on green hydrogen should that become more affordable. It generates reliable power 24/7 on the site and virtually no noise, pollution, and very little water usage only on startup. This is a little bit about how it works. It's a solid oxide fuel cell. It converts a fuel source into electricity without combustion. So this will have natural gas. It'll be going through the energy servers and stacks. There's high concentration of CO2 steam, high efficiency electricity, and high temperature air. That's the line one about it. Line two is a little bit about the constructability of the fuel cell units. So, fuel cell is called a server. It has fuel cells that are stacked and become a power module. These are 65 kW power modules. There are 5 in a energy server, so that the energy server produces 325 kW, and you can put the multiple of these together to create whatever size you're looking for. The fuel cell scope that's being presented is for 2 energy servers for 325 kW apiece, which is a total of 650 kW. There is future heat capture capacity as we're doing due diligence to try to work with the Seymour team and our team to select the most cost beneficial locations. Again, there is no combustion, no particulates, and emissions, and significantly lower water usage. The box below where you see the fuel source, there's an inverter modular, power modular, or 5 power modulars, and then there's an equipment space in the end. And the picture shows you these are best in class in terms of appearance and functionality. And you can see that these are, they come prefabricated, if you will, like plug and play on a skid. There's not a lot of parts associated with this, and all of the connections associated with that run underground in that slid skid so that they're all self-contained. There is, as I mentioned, some WPCA scope. There's two anaerobic digesters that currently aren't working. There's co-digestion food waste that we'll be looking at, aeration and plant efficiency, and dewatering opportunities improvements. The scope of work that's in the contract that's being proposed is for an analysis and design of these and everything that consumes energy at the plant. There is no scope to construct anything at this point. Go through the financial summary. Over a 20-year period, the fuel cell will make electric cost predictable. It'll stabilize utility budgets across all town and school buildings. There is a potential to use excess funds to make infrastructure improvements without the need for any increased taxes. The project has a simple payback of 12.4 years. Project cost is $7.2 million. First year energy savings are $691,400. There's a potential to be net zero electric across all building stock, and the project has a positive cash flow over 20 years of $6.8 million. Hopefully you can see this. It's a little bit of an eyesore, but I want to walk you through the financial metrics. And we're looking at the first column, which is the years. The second column is the fuel cell kWh being produced. So 5.4 million kWh being produced. The third column is the fuel cell natural gas, measured in MMBTU. So that's the fuel source to produce the electricity. The power generation is in your fourth column there, $854,000 in year one. There are no grants or rebates associated with the project in the first couple of years. The O&M maintenance. So the manufacturer of choice is Bloom. The project comes and covers all costs associated with keeping these running at 52% efficiency, where is how we derived the amount of kWh production, and that is paid for out of the savings, if you will. Also the cost of the fuel cell gas, which gives you the column before we go shaded blue, which is net fuel cell production or revenue realization. And then the shaded in the right-hand side over here is the escalating payment model. So 7.2 million start as principal. It's paid down. It goes positive in 12.4 years. And then there's positive cash flow. Now this is for demonstration purposes, being that the project can be sculpted in terms of payments and flexible so that you can start to realize, if you didn't want to reinvest the dollars associated, you could start to realize annual positive cash flow in years 1 through 20. I will provide this presentation for you. I do apologize it didn't come in advance so that you have a copy. We are in the question period, but before we get there, I'd just like to outline the design-build structure. Number one, it allows you to swiftly move into construction after the design is done, and what we have up here is the next steps. So NTP 1 is roughly 3 months. That stands for Notice to Proceed. So we'll finalize the site selection. We'll get input from the town folks. We will provide cost-benefit analysis. We are looking at 3 locations currently: the WPCA, the community center, and the police department. We are going to develop 100% design documents, interconnection applications, permitting, and costing. All documents will then, and cost workbooks will be turned over to a third-party RS Means reviewer for scope and pricing validation. Once approved, the town will receive a letter that the project has met the RS Means process and recommend executing Notice to Proceed 2, NTP 2. NTP 2 is a construction event. Construction schedules will be built and communicated with appointed town personnel. Weekly construction meetings will take place. System will be commissioned, and fuel cells will be powered on, and will be powering all the town and school buildings. Questions?
Question?
I can't see anybody, just.
That's okay.
FYI.
We'll start with, Selectman Lombardi.
Yes, could we get a copy? Could we get a copy of this, please?
Yes, we'll have a copy of the presentation.
I can send them just as soon as I disconnect.
Is that it, Pat?
I'm all set.
Okay. Bob?
The lifespan of the stack, how long, so you get a 12-year payback, but then what's the lifespan of the stack and how it converts?
Excellent question. So the stack life varies in why the O&M contract is contemplated and must be part of the project is that there will be ongoing and routine maintenance that will be all covered under that O&M agreement. And so that the 52% efficiency and the production levels that were demonstrated in the financials are kept. There is no way to predict exactly when the stack will deteriorate and go below there, but each one of those 5 modulars can be isolated and worked on independently while still producing electricity.
Right,
So
but we'd have to
essentially
factor
you're
in,
on-
yeah, but we'd have to factor in maintenance, so, because we'd have,
No.
right?
The maintenance is part of that O&M. There is no additional cost with the keeping the uptime of the fuel cell operational and producing.
Okay.
That's what the operation and maintenance guarantees that these will operate at 52% efficiency on an ongoing basis. The call time, when they drop below, they're monitored at a remote operational center, a ROC center, and as in one of those individual data points start to decrease, there are 4 folks, I believe, located just in the lower part of Connecticut, working for the manufacturer. They're dispatched, they isolate the cell, those doors open up, and they're able to make any replacements, change out the stacks, whatever they need to do.
And then you mentioned that if, so you either are methane or they're ready for hydrogen, but I'm assuming you'd have to change something to have hydrogen use.
Yeah, hydrogen right now is not, cost effective for these, but yes, there is a little bit of work that would be done to convert to green hydrogen. It's minimal.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it from a lifespan of that device. Over time, hydrogen at some point may be ready for prime time, maybe.
Yeah, we have a lot of customers asking that, and you're right. And so we look at the fuel cell technology, now makes a lot of sense. And if you locate it at one unit, that's great. If you can power all the buildings, which programmatically the virtual net metering is allowed, it does make a lot of sense. And as the hydrogen comes down, you could continue to restack these for years. The infrastructure that's associated is what is the best opportunity in terms of right now deploying them.
And you made a comment about the digesters at the treatment plant. Would your intention would be to take the methane directly off the digesters? Is that?
It is contemplated. We need to do some due diligence if we plan to locate down there and want to utilize the biogas. Yes.
Yeah, but it would have to be the digesters plus, right? You could do it just strictly from the digesters at that plant, I wouldn't think. But we'd still have to have a source for methane beyond the digesters.
That's correct.
Right, okay. So the digester would just be minimizing what we'd actually take from the source.
That's correct.
Okay.
Al?
I just want to be clear on the payoff time frame again. Is it a little under 13 years?
It's 12, 13 years.
12 to 13, right? For an investment of about 7 million, I think, 7.5. Yeah, I'm going to need to digest this a little bit more. This is not my area of expertise, so.
Well, that's why I've, requested that we get copies of this so that we can look at this in a little more in detail, particularly from the dollars and cents standpoint. That's my concern.
A couple of other comments. I hear some talking, but I'm not sure if there was a question.
No, not yet. We're just talking about how the selectmen the select person, need to see the presentation so that they can go over and they can put together questions. So there will not be action taken tonight. It probably won't be until the next meeting or maybe the meeting afterwards.
Yeah, through you, Madam First Selectman, this is just meant to be introductory.
Yeah.
Just to give you some understanding and give you an opportunity to do your research. I anticipate that we'd have Aaron back, whether it be the next meeting or the meeting after that, to meet obviously firsthand and address any questions at that point that you have. We had no anticipation that this would be approved tonight at all. This is a lot to digest.
Oh, it's
Literally.
From most of us, this is confusing.
no, it's a lot. There's a lot there.
Fred?
Just a couple other points I just wanted to make with regards to, this is budget neutral. You're basically going to power your buildings instead of paying the utility for that cost. We'll divert that to pay the project down and off, if you will. And this will go a long way to some of the things that are being talked about later on the agenda in terms of sustainability in Connecticut and the carbon footprint. So happy to talk about any of those items in the future and answer any questions
Right.
that you have over the next several weeks.
That's great, but I still have two other select persons that need to ask questions. Fred?
I'm with Al. This is not my area of expertise. Mr. Finley obviously is very familiar with this type of equipment and project. I not only would like to see the written materials, maybe you could give us a key to some of the terminology, like restacking. I'd like to understand some of the terminology.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard what Fred said, but if the board can get some kind of glossary of terms, just so they can familiarize themselves with some of the technical jargon that may not be common now.
Treat.
Thank you. And yes, I'd like to see also the presentation because as Bob does seem to know much more than any of us up here on the board about this. This is something new to me, so we can get that handout. And also, are there any towns that are in our surrounding area that are doing this currently?
Yeah, we're actually doing a project right now in Sonia, and we've got a few other that are in development. But there's roughly 80 deployments throughout the state of Connecticut, and I'm trying to get a few locations and times so that we can set up a field trip.
Thank you.
And if I may, Madam First
go ahead.
Selectwoman, so this is interesting. I love hearing this stuff, but I'm an old-time municipal lawyer, and there's two words that I want to think about and wrap my head around when I look at this proposal and think about it. And those two words are procurement process. I want to think about that. I want to think about whether the town has to launch a procurement process so that we have
It's fair.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's more
And
than
that's
fair.
the sort of thing that I wrestle with modern technology and design build concepts. And, be it solar arrays or batteries, dispatchable batteries being attached to existing solar arrays. Is it and now with fuel cells, we have a batch of municipalities, and I just want to I'm telling you what I'm going to be looking at. I'll leave the technical stuff to others right now, but I'm going to go back and look and think about the procurement process and what, if anything, we have to do to satisfy our existing competitive bidding policies.
Okay. So, Aaron, if you could please get this presentation along with a glossary of terms to this board, and no disrespect to the board, but also maybe some definitions as to what things do, as well. No disrespect meant to anyone, because there's some
Certainly,
things
I'll send the the slide deck out, and then I'll pull together terms and definitions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
If you can just bear with me 1 second, I want to make sure I can switch this off and not disconnect the live stream.
Okay. Item number 8, discussion, oh my gosh. Discussion and possible action regarding tax lien for property at 35 New Haven Road. This is a piece of property that is currently, back behind on taxes for several years in taxes. The site is a contaminated site, and the amount of money it would cost, would be more than the amount owed in total taxes. As you know, as a board, we've done this in the past. So we have the resolution. Attorney Gertula, could you read the resolution? Thank you.
This is a resolution regarding the assignment of real estate tax liens encumbering 35 New Haven Road. Whereas the real estate taxes have not been paid for the property located at 35 New Haven Road, Seymour, and whereas there are tax liens recorded against the property, and whereas pursuant to Section 12-195H of the Connecticut General Statutes, the legislative body of the municipality can authorize the assignment of the tax liens for consideration, whereas the subject premises is in need of environmental remediation, be it resolved, upon the execution of documents in full compliance with Section 12-195H of the Connecticut General Statutes, and upon payment of the principal amount of the taxes due, i.e. approximately $39,028.67, the town will assign the subject tax liens to Jerry's Properties LLC. I assure you there's no apostrophe there. I've asked that question. Be it further resolved, the town is authorized to execute all documents necessary to effectuate this transaction.
Thank you. Questions? Oh, I have a motion first. I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Pat, second?
Second.
Second by Al, discussion. No discussions?
As we've done this before.
Yes.
The current property owners have been notified that they're behind on their taxes.
Oh, yes.
They're well aware of where they're standing right now, correct?
Yes, this person that's interested in property has actually been paying off the taxes and actually been doing the remediation work at this site because the person who owns the property cannot afford to do it.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Did I say something wrong? You're already on. You just
absolutely nothing wrong. I was going to say it's many years of...
It was on. He shut it off.
No, you shut it off.
Okay, I shut it off.
Your big finger shut it.
Hey, push the right button. Come on.
Rotary dial phone, man, go ahead.
We need two separate microphones. No, teasing. So all I started to say is it's many years of unpaid taxes. This is not a surprise, I don't think, to anyone, from what I understand.
Perfect, thank you.
I need a motion.
Yeah.
Oh, can we have a vote? Sorry, thank you.
Motion. One discussion.
Now we do discussion. Now we need, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Okay, we had made a motion to add to the agenda the Emergency Management Director's position. Teresa, since you've asked to add this,
Sure.
I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. So, our town attorney, feel free at any time to let me know if I'm out of bounds anywhere
You
here.
just shut it off again.
No, I turned
It's
it
on.
back on. I had shut it off for a
This is
minute.
what we added, Rich.
So we've had a lot of discussion on this position in the last couple of meetings. And I think we just have to come to some kind of resolution because I guess I sat here and we had a resignation at our last meeting. You're saying that it's not been accepted?
I've not accepted it as of yet. No,
Okay.
I've not accepted it as of yet. And when you go and you see what's on the next item, you'll see why.
Okay. My other concern is when all this came down, I acted on the behalf for the town of the information that we received from the board through our human resource director, that we charged to go out and find out how much a stipend or whatever, we said, what kind of job it would be. He came back. Now, I'm concerned because it seems like I'm sitting here being the bad person. I'm going to be honest, because lots of people have told me that they feel bad that I'm sitting here being it and being told it's political, which it is definitely not. I just want to be clear. We charged our human resource director to go out to get this salary, stipend, whatever, after the August 18th event happened, correct? Or it was before the August 18th? It was after, Mr. Lombardi, saying?
I thought it was before.
No, I believe it was after.
Could be
After?
wrong.
I think it was after.
At any
I can't
rate,
remember.
it's immaterial.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to get clear, though. We had that knowledge.
Oh, you're right.
We had the knowledge that we had that storm, that catastrophe event, and we had our human resource director go out to get this information. So I'm sitting here as a Board of Select person, taking information that we pay a professional to advise us with. I am not a professional on what salary anyone deserves, unless we're talking healthcare. Then I can help you out. But in this position, I relied on our human resource director, as I think every board member that was here that night and voted on it and voted yes did. So I don't know if this is still germane to what we're talking about, but I just think we need to come to some kind of resolution, because I'm going to be honest, this isn't political, and I know it's that silly season going on now. It never was. It was never about the person. It's the position, and I cannot reiterate that enough, of what we did here as a board. And I want to come to some kind of resolution with my fellow board members of what we want to do with this.
Thank you. And I think that's a good point. And, as Bob Kay said, maybe we should maybe there should be a joint meeting between the Board of Finance and us to get this point across.
I don't know if we need to have our human resource person come into that meeting also.
Maybe.
Because, like I said, I shouldn't be the one, Teresa Conroy, Board of Select person, sitting up here being the one that's accountable. Maybe we need to have our human resource director come up here and tell us why he came up with that amount and not me.
No, I agree. And it was in the budget for $10,000 as
Correct.
well.
So I just, I feel we have a whole audience of people that are here early on and are able to say what they want to say about me and finger point at me. And there's never any opportunity for me to say again and again and again, it was never against a person. It was about the process of what we did. And I get looks from everybody on the board that, we were all here doing the same thing, the whole same discussion, and we all agreed on the $10,000.
We were, and I understand what you're saying, but I think the reason why people may be thinking that it's personal was because of the last sentence that was put in there. In your letter to the editor, it may have been because of the last sentence that was put in there. Maybe that's why they're thinking it's personal.
I don't know what the last sentence was, but
So maybe that's why they're thinking it's
I don't know,
personal.
yeah.
But I understand what you're saying, and we get.
I mean, I could see, the audience here today being coached and prodded to come up and talk, and I just think this is not what I was elected to do. I was elected to sit up here and represent the people of Seymour, and that's what I did. And I was being fiscally responsible by what we were told by our human resources director, and I will stick with that. And I just want to say, I hope this does not continue, because it seems like, it's been, we had 1, 2, 3 times now that I sit through it. I can take it. Let me tell you, I have a thick skin. But we need to come to some kind of resolution of what we're going to do with this position.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think the people were being coached, because this was before the salary. I think if I remember right, it was before even a salary was even in existence. he was out there doing this job
Correct,
to that level without even being paid.
correct, I understand that. Yeah, that's
So-
what I'm saying.
I don't think it's about the
My
salary.
point was Chris went out and got the salary, knowing all that information.
Chris Pelosi.
Our human resources person got that information after this catastrophe had happened. So that wasn't factored in, so I can't say anything about that.
Yeah, it was after. Right, because FEMA came in.
Because he did
Yeah.
all that with that, because I stuck out of my head.
Yeah, 'cause
he
FEMA
did all
came
that
in,
work,
yeah.
and that's when I would, we recognized that he had to. There should have been some stipend for it.
And
And
then
I
there
pre-
was confusion about when this, we can't talk about the position, sorry, the person, sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate the work that, Chris put into it, but maybe if he was the one that gave us bad information, I don't think I should be sitting up here following bad information that the human resource director gave and acted on.
So there was two Chris's, so,
Yeah, she
Chris
means Chris
Pelosi.
Pelosi.
Chris Pelosi, thank you. So we just let's use titles, thanks.
She or CP.
But I was just, this whole discussion now is about the position and what we're gonna do with the position, going forward, because, we just voted on a budget a week or so ago, and it was in there for $10,000, so I'm not sure how the board would handle that and the Board of Finance would handle that. That's what the people voted
You have
for.
to leave the position at what we budgeted for.
So the budgeted amount that's been approved is $10,000.
That's
And who is the hiring authority for the position?
It's an appointed position.
But do we have to approve it as a board?
You don't approve it as a board, it's
No.
appointed by the first select person. It's a
Okay.
4-year appointment.
So,
Well, I didn't accept the resignation because I still need help on some of this stuff, but yeah, I could, technically,
now,
yeah.
we also have the authority to reconsider the salary if we wish.
You can just walk away from the resignation.
Stipend.
But I think the rehire would allow her to
Right, no,
raise the.
understood.
I don't think we could actually look at a different salary with that because it's already in the budget. I'm looking at town attorney.
I thought you might be. So I'll say this, budgets are fluid documents. They are sometimes not written in stone. Charters contain processes by which you can change a budget. You can make an appropriation over and above. There's a process in our charter here to do something. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying you do have a budgeted amount. You can live within the budgeted amount. You can decide to do something else and follow the charter to see if you can get the authority to do it. But those are choices you could make on a go-forward basis. But in the first instance, if you have a budgeted amount, you have a decision, do you live within the budgeted amount, and what is that? And if you want to add to it, you can come up with a strategy and a process, and see how to do that.
Well, I would maybe just suggest for tonight that we just take the information that we heard from the audience and from the words I just said and digest that and think about what we want to do for our next steps.
All right, we'll do that. Maybe we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting. How's that? And then hopefully that's the end of it. All right, thank you. Okay, you happy with that?
Yeah, no action.
Number 9, discussion and possible action regarding the potential of the Emergency Watershed Protection Program grant stream bank stabilization along the Little River in Seymour. Alright, so this is a federal grant that Chris applied for and got from stream bank stabilization along the Little River. So the water belongs to the DEP in the state of Connecticut, but the banks and the embankments and the bottom of the river belongs to the towns and the municipalities.
Just back up. You said the bottoms of the,
So, river,
just
bottom,
clear it, yep.
the bottom,
That's
the solid, the
town.
sand, the dirt belongs to the town. The
Yeah.
water belongs to DEP. Yeah, like that one? So if we leave it, right, there's going to be there's a risk to life of property, because if you look at the embankments now, you can see there's some trees that are undermined, the cliffs aren't all that stable, and I felt like this past week I was back in Washington, Oregon area with all the rain we're having, and it's going to continue to rain, and I just worry about another onslaught of issues we may have. So the grant is a 75-25 match. The total cost of the project is approximately $54,000, making the town share $12,974 plus permit fees. So you're probably figuring around 15. Town engineer has already done some of the studies on the riverbank immediately following the storm. We are responsible for cleaning up the embankment. If we don't clean up the embankment and something happens, and say somebody's house gets undermined, or a garage gets undermined, or a tree falls on a house or on a building, then the town is going to be held liable for this. A matter of fact, was it 2 months ago when we lost power on West Church Street, a tree fell. As I'm looking to Mr. Lombardi, Drew.
No, I believe that was on West Street,
West Street.
but it could be wrong.
Okay. The tree fell. We're just worried about stabilizing that embankment, so that's this. But I want to hear what everybody has to say, of course.
What area of the Little River are we talking about? How far down, or
So
where does
Little-
it start?
So it would start where
Hoadley's or?
Hoadley's Pond, because
Mhm.
that's ours. We
And all
own the
the way down
pond,
to
we
the
don't own the water, all the way
Naugatuck
down
River?
to the bridge, also past River Street. Once it gets into the river, then it's no longer ours.
Right.
We already fixed the embankment on River Street when the road caved
Right,
in.
right.
But also along, like, the dam responsibility belongs to the owners of Housatonic Wire. So that's their, they have to fix the weir and the issue over there. But the embankment along the back of Claridas's Plaza, that's our responsibility. And if you go into the plaza where the UPS store, that is not opened yet, so please don't ask. It's not open. We don't know what's going to open. Look how back. You know the questions are going to come, right? You can see the embankment starting to come down. Listen, Job Lots is opening next week, so come on.
So basically, you're talking from Hoadley's Pond all the way down to where Little River actually dumps,
Correct.
flows.
Flows, not dumps, correct.
Into the,
Naugatuck,
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's really not a bad price, cost-wise. And I'm just worrying if something happens, it may cost us more down the road. Now, I could turn to our treasurer and say, where are we going to get the money from, treasurer?
We have several different options, assuming the board wants to move forward. We'll identify a revenue source and move. I'm going to assume, because we're potentially showing a projected surplus for fiscal '25, that we'll probably just identify surplus funds and use that.
So if we approve this, we would have to go out for bid.
Yeah, we'd follow the normal
Yeah.
procurement process, absolutely. Led by the town engineer.
And then the bids would all come to us, and then we would, the town engineer would get the bids, he'd open them, and then he'd come to us and discuss with us who is best person.
Yeah, have we had discussions with him about this yet?
Yeah, after the storm, he was out there, and he
Okay.
says, yeah, they are in bad condition.
This sounds like a necessity. We need to take care of this. And we have an opportunity to enter into this agreement with Department of Agriculture.
Trace?
And, right, so it'd be a total cost of about $15,000 for the town side.
Yeah, I'm going on with 15 because the permit fees.
Sure, yeah. No, that seems very reasonable.
And I don't think there'll be any more engineering costs. There should not be any more engineering costs.
I believe the work that was done right after the storm should be enough to cover it. Yes.
Right. So, I'm going with 15. Due to storm, due to permits. If I'm under, yay,
I mean, we would bring any amount back
of course.
through the process, so boards would have the opportunity to understand if the amount was higher or lower, and then make a final decision.
And then Brian would file the permits.
Yes, I would assume that would be the process, yes.
Well, then we need a PE to sign off on them.
Sorry. Sure.
So, sounds like a reasonable amount of money to me.
Yeah.
Pay to
Was
shore
money
it
well
up.
spent.
That doesn't sound like a bad idea.
Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Oh, sorry.
Motion by Al,
Second it.
second by Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Discussion? Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Item number 10, discussion and possible action to set the amount of borrowing and planning and construction of Bungay Elementary. Did I miss something?
No, I think
No,
just
'cause you added.
All right. Discussion and possible action to set the amount of borrowing and planning and construction on Bungay Elementary, Bungay 2, at 35 Bungay Road, Seymour, Connecticut, in the amount not to exceed $66 million. After speaking with bond counsel Ritter, this is step 1 he had asked for. Step 2 would be the approval of the same motion by the Board of Finance. At our June 1st meeting, it is anticipated that we'll take steps 3 and 4 by setting the town meeting and the referendum dates for the fall. Following the process should allow the architects to make necessary submissions to the state to determine our reimbursement potential. The breakdown is follows, so everybody understands where that $66 million is coming from. $60 million is for the construction and then the insurance cost, and the other $6 million would be if we need to take out, if we have to take out or pay out the existing debt on the solar panels to the Bank of America, because the debt is tied to the solar panels. And if we throw out the solar panels and we cannot reuse the solar panels, then we have to pay the Bank of America back. Did I get that right? Mostly, okay. Because it's a secured debt. Right? Discussion? Have a motion so we can discuss?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay. Motion by Al,
Second.
second by Teresa. Discussion.
Now, we are hoping to be able to use the existing solar equipment.
We're hoping.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if that was a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think the hope, and this is something that we would work with the folks at Antonazi on, is the
Who's here?
potential of reusing, yeah, the mic's right in the back, of reusing the solar. You know, we've got some indication that it might be too expensive to move or reuse. I think until we ultimately get to that time, that's when that decision will be made. But as the first selectman mentioned, the debt is secured by solar panels. So if the solar panels are not to be reused and be discarded, I would expect Bank of America would call the note back in, and we at that point would be required to pay that off. So bond counsel Ritter just wants us to be on the safe side. So that way we have appropriate approvals in place that if we need to pivot to that we're able to do so. If we do not, then that money will not be borrowed.
What would be a reason they're not reusable?
Cost.
Just a pure cost reason.
Yeah, but I'm sure Michael
Yeah.
can probably address more.
Mike, come up to the microphone and state your name and the company you're with, please.
Good evening. My name is Michael Losasso. I'm with Antonazi Associates. We're located at 271 Fairfield Avenue in Bridgeport, Connecticut. A couple things, actually. The specific recommendation that we had proposed as part of the cost estimate was that the differential between reusing the existing, meaning demounting them, storing them, and reinstalling them, versus procuring new was equivalently the same. The new was slightly more expensive, but you would have slightly more time with that system. But that being said, our estimator wasn't factoring into the cost that results, or the penalty, I guess, if they weren't reused. And certainly those panels are viable for reuse and could be reinstalled. So subsequent to the earlier discussions, we've spoken with the board, the building committee, and have made provisions either to mount them on the rooftop or on a ground-mounted array as well. So that's been factored into the cost data that I recently shared with Mr. Miller.
What are the run times on these? What are they? How long have they been out?
I believe they're 6 years old.
6?
Can you tell us where or any projects that you have used on, reusing the solar panels?
I've not done any that we've reused. There's nothing to specifically bad about reusing them. The efficacy of the system degrades slightly over time. Generally, the industry standard is a 20 to 25 year lifespan, and it kind of coincides with roof replacement. So
Bless you.
if it's
Bless
mounted
you.
on the rooftop, you sort of replace the panels along with the roof.
But they degrade over time, so you don't get the same efficiencies later on. When you get to year 18, 19, 20, it all changes.
Bless you.
Help us.
So if we reuse the existing panels, maybe 12 years down the road, the town will be looking at a replacement.
You start, they'll degrade. So,
Yeah, Bob's saying they're gonna be like 20 to 25.
yeah, their efficiencies change over the amount of years you use them, and then they have to be replaced.
I
So.
understand.
Better than paying a penalty.
Now, my question to Mr. Miller was, and he's going to discuss this with Mr. Matt Ritter, is whether or not this bonding should be broken down into two portions, one for the reimbursement amount and one to refund the solar panels.
Correct. We'll have that information when this comes back in front of your board with resolutions, probably for your first meeting in June.
And time is starting to run out for our application, so we need to take action if we're going to go forward with this.
Correct. The board, assuming a positive motion from this board, it would go to the Board of Finance. And then we would have the minutes from the two meetings to Antonazi by the last Thursday in May, which should meet their time frame. Obviously, Attorney Ritter could speak quite well of the legislative process in Hartford, so he assures that we will have no problem meeting the timeline for submission with that. And then we could work on, at the next meeting, that would be when we talk about the town meeting, adjourned town meeting, referendum, so on and so forth, setting all of those dates. So,
Can you reuse them somewhere else as part of the bond, or it has to be at the school? Just a question.
I think we can. I've never specifically asked.
I don't know if we can. You
that
like
question.
have another place to use them, but I'm just saying if the school just got a new panels and we could reutilize them somewhere else, you could probably utilize do that.
That might be permitted, but I sort of doubt it. You'd have to go review the specific loan documents.
Right, that's what
and
I,
see if
that's
they
more
allow
what
it.
I'm asking. What
Most
was
of
the
time-
loan based on?
Most of the time, most loan documents with security interest in fixtures or personal property that's akin to being a fixture, they don't let you remove it from the site.
Understood.
Most of the time.
If I may.
It's worth an ask.
But I'm not, but you know what?
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
worth an
know.
ask, that's all, you know.
And I think Attorney Ritter just wants to cover all the bases, so that way we have options when the time comes. If they can be reused, fantastic. If they can't be, and we've explored everything, at least we have a pivot to cover at that point.
From a reimbursement standpoint, I did actually pose the question to one of the reviewers at the state that we deal with on a regular basis. He said that the reuse for an educational project, meaning the same project, the school, would be less impactful.
Right.
But if it were moved off-site, then I think the total penalty would apply, in their opinion.
Right, so it would have to be something part of educate, right.
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
You could put on another education.
I mean, we'll still absorb some form of penalty just because of the roof. as well on the boiler.
Correct.
But
And,
it would definitely lessen any
You're trying
penalty
to
if we're
reduce
able to
that burden.
reuse.
Right.
Absolutely, yep, absolutely.
the cost to demount and reinstall would also be ineligible, and we've factored that into the costing that
Okay.
we've done as well.
Right.
Have a motion?
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
May I just, I'm going to pose a question. The $60 million amount was based on the total, roughly the total project cost that we were factoring.
Correct.
We've, in our experience, normally the municipality will actually bond for the portion that's their responsibility, and then some additional amounts to accommodate for ineligible costs. And oftentimes we recommend the withholded retainage that the state has for payments, because that's an out-of-pocket expense until the audit time. So did Mr. Ritter actually, Attorney Ritter actually recommend the full project cost be bonded? Really? Okay. All right.
Because again, we have to take out bond anticipation notes, well, you know all this. Obviously, the cover until reimbursement comes in, so we have to have that full 59.7, I believe is the number. And then we have anticipated issuance costs, cost S&P, bond underwriters, legal counsel, so on and so forth. And then I assume there's going to be some interest carry in there as well that we'll need to cover. So the assumption is that 300,000 would cover that. And again, if we don't need it, we don't borrow it.
Right.
And then ultimately, what the reimbursement from the state is what it is. And at that point, we would go back out and make those notes permanent.
I see.
So I would assume then we're down in that $19 million range, I believe is where we're at.
Yeah, I think we were forecasting around 25 with all the extras, but yeah, in that, okay.
Yeah, but because we don't know when the state would reimburse us back, so we still have to pay that note back, so we wouldn't know when we would get the reimbursements back from the state.
Understood, okay.
So, the town is still technically, I don't want to say on the hook, but we're still on the hook for it until it gives it back.
I just wanted to make sure you weren't over investing
No,
there.
no. Yeah, but then
Trust us.
Then you get arbitrage issues and everything else, so we just want to be careful.
And Mr. Miller indicated that he would set up the agenda with the Board of Finance for consideration.
Yeah, I spoke with the chairman, and I also had an email exchange with the secretary, so they're aware that it'll be on their agenda, and that she will need to turn the minutes around quickly. But we all know Monica. Monica's usually quite efficient in turning things around. So I'd expect, we might even have them on Wednesday, depending on how quickly. So as soon as we have them, I'll get them right over to you, Michael.
Well, I think the issue is that DAS wants certified copies, and the town clerk does not certify until they're approved by the board or commission. So the board would have to have a subsequent meeting or to a Zoom meeting to turn it around that quickly.
If that's what's required, we'll do that, not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
And the chairman actually offered, if he needed to do something, he would set it up.
The first hurdle is to get the approval.
Right.
Thank you. And thank you again for all the work you do. On behalf of the committee, thank you.
Happy to help.
And Marie, thank you for your support.
You're welcome. Motion?
There was a motion.
I think we have a motion and a second, yeah.
A second? Ready for vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where did he go?
And
Item-
Michael, thank you for being so patient this evening. Thank you.
Putting in discussion, okay. We're putting in the 35 cogwheel and 136 New Haven Ave?
I believe you structured, you asked to have an executive session placed here.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can I have a motion to go into executive session
So moved.
with Rich and,
With Rich.
and Kurt?
Second.
And if
Motion
I
by-
may, under the Freedom of Information Act, the basis for the executive session is to discuss the potential sale of town-owned property such that a public discussion may affect the price. So the purpose is to go into executive session.
Yes. Okay, motion by Al, second by Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion to go in executive session. Microphones are off. Fred, can you shut Teresa's microphone off?
Somebody wake up Ditria.
Why, are the lights dimmer out there?
We're ready to roll. Steve will be here for it.
You folks received the Sustainability Award for this evening.
It's that hallway. Along with the lights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then you come in here, it's like, oh.
Good lights in here.
Fred's happy.
You want what? You know, that was a big, sense of,
Clocks are everywhere now.
Welcome back.
In every room now. No, they were just commenting on the clock.
Yeah.
$10 at Target.
Are we ready? You ain't kidding.
make a motion to come out of executive
They're everywhere.
hold please. Make a motion to come out of executive session. My neck is about to crack.
And there were no votes or actions taken
Taken.
during the executive session.
I'm gonna.
Motion by Al, second by Pat. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain?
I abstain.
Motion goes 501. Thank you. Please note, Selectman Stanek's abstention. Ugh, how fun this is.
It's emphasized.
Okay.
And if I may, Madam First Selectwoman, if it is the board's
Train.
pleasure to move forward with this transaction, I would recommend a motion that reads like this. Motion to authorize the town of Seymour, acting through the First Selectwoman, to sell a 1-acre parcel of real property to PL Associates LLC, located at the corner of 35 Cogwheel Lane and 136 New Haven Road for the sum of $95,000, provided said 1 acre has not been previously designated as open space.
So moved.
Motion by Pat, second by Al. Discussion, none. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 6-0. Thank you kindly. Okay. Item 11. Create a committee to review and update the Town of Seymour's tax incentive plan.
Item 12. Item 12, right?
Well, yes,
Oh,
you're
no,
right.
or the Jad's on.
Yeah.
Fine.
No
We're
problem.
good.
No problem. We're all getting tired. So, create a committee to review and update the town Seymour tax incentive plan. In your packet, you should have the Seymour Town Incentive Plan, which came effective of March 7th, 2012. It was reviewed in 2018. I would like to have a committee of 3 persons to work with Rich to look and update it. But I would like to also add to this, look at and potentially add to this tax incentive plan, to include looking at seniors' income levels with the multiple reasons based on single, couple, and family income, and maybe a freeze to at least for a break for those that take care of their parents. Can we put that in here, or is that going to be a charter, or is that an ordinance?
Well,
Well, for businesses, but why couldn't you? It's a
you
tax incentive
can have a
plan.
committee to study it. You can have a committee to determine what you want to do. So when you're talking about tax incentive plan, I thought you were talking about the economic development.
It is.
Tax incentive plan. But what you were just talking about seemed to be senior tax relief
Yep.
under state statute.
Correct.
So
Well,
would you
yeah.
want this committee to look at both?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Could charge them with both.
So it's an overall tax.
It's an overall tax incentive plan.
Yeah. It just has different meanings.
Yep.
But you can do both.
Okay, who's interested in going on that committee? Al, you're on that committee before. Do you still want to go back on it? You don't have time. Got it. I don't have to appoint people tonight, do I?
No.
You don't have to. 'cause
Okay, so please look, if you're interested, let me know. How's that?
Okay.
He did, didn't he? He did. All right, number 11, we just did.
Yeah.
Create a commission to review 12. Sustainable CT, create a green team. Sorry. So there's steps to create a green team. I lost my little packet. Oh, tax lien. Sorry. Protection statement. Here it goes. So, as you know, we're going for sustainable CT. There's a green team, which is 1.2, participating in equity training. 1.2.1 is to have a cohort from your town to at least have 3 people, including 1 elected official from the Board of Selectmen or Board of Aldermen, Common Council, Town Council, or other governing body that represents the municipal executive branch. The Board of Education and the Board of Finance are not included. 1 higher level municipal staff member, management or director level, and 1 resident to serve on a sustainable team or a relevant municipal committee commission collectively, and attend a series of sustainable CT provided training on equity. The municipal cohort must have completed this training within the last 3 years. So as you know, we're going for a CT sustainability bronze level, and we need to have a green team on that. So we need to have 3 different people put onto that committee. And then from there, we need to have a liaison for the homeless, which is in 12.1, with the strengthened municipal workforce capacity to address homelessness. 12.1 is designate a municipal employee, elected leader, or other individual officially designated by the municipality to serve as a liaison for homeless service in your municipality. Now, we're working with David Morgan from Team on this, because normally that person works with the schools as well. So David Morgan stated that he would guide us on this, but I'm going to need members for the green team. So if you're interested in being on the green team, let me know.
Yes, we just need, through you, Madam First Selectman.
Sure.
We just need motions just to create them, and
Yep.
then we'll fill them at the next meeting with appointments.
Yep. So can I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to create a green team and designate a homelessness liaison.
Motion by Al.
Second.
Second by Bob. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, we'll get the name in them at our next meeting. There are no appointments. Transfers, there are no transfers. Tax
Are we
ref,
skipping the strategic planning committee one?
did I skip that? I did. Holy cow. Discussion regarding the strategic planning committee. I can't even talk. It's getting so late. Okay. As you know, we've been discussing this as a board for quite a time. The strategic plan, the Charter Revision Commission is looking at putting the strategic plan into the charter, but I don't know if it's gotten that far, if they talked about it. And they're going to put it in, and it also has to get voted on by the residents to put it in there. But what we have done is we've set the groundwork for it so that quarterly a report is given to this board. So this board is ultimately the strategic planning committee. Because it's reported to you, and if the board would like to add something to it, then the board tells the department heads or tells who's ever sitting in this seat, this is what we would like to add to it, and then they go back to their department heads and they say, we want to add this on it, to no matter what department it is, whether it's the Public Works Department, Finance Department, Police Department, Town Clerk's Office, that we have total say over that, but we don't, the Board of Ed has their own strategic plan that they're working on. So hopefully it gets voted on that it goes into the charter, but if not, this board is the team and they have the ultimate say on it.
And then you'll disband the strategic plan committee? That's the overall intention?
The overall intention is to disband the committee.
Right.
We've been kicking this around because there's 5 members, 6 members. And there's a couple members that never even showed up for one meeting when they were put on it. Even when they were Zoom. So,
Yeah, as long as you make, as long as the process is documented, because a lot of steps have been taken to get all the departments to execute to the strategic planning committee, strategic plan. As long as you have the process steps, you don't really need the committee, so that it stays whether this board's in place or some other board comes in place. You want that constant repeatability of the strategic plan. So as long as it's documented process, then you don't need the committee.
so I guess, could we have a motion then to disband the strategic planning committee? Or do you want to wait and see if it gets into the charter? But I think we said we want to disband it.
I must be confused over here. Didn't we discuss this last month?
We didn't vote on it though.
But it says action regarding the strategic planning committee, motion to disband the strategic planning committee and move strategic planning to the town of Seymour.
It went to the town of,
And we voted on it to disband it.
to go to the town charter and to become onto this board, so move it to this board?
That's not how it was worded, though. I'll read it. It was.
Yeah, I know
it
we
was,
talked about it,
Item
so I
number
don't know.
13. It said action.
I don't think there was a vote on it.
It was a vote. It says motion to disband the strategic planning committee and move strategic planning to the town of Seymour.
You're looking at the
And
minutes?
motion, and I seconded it,
Yeah.
yep.
You're looking at the minutes, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
right here.
To move it
And
to
we
the town
voted.
of Seymour.
Right, so is the intention of this to,
Move it to the Board of Selectmen?
okay, then that could be it.
I thought we disbanded at
Yeah,
the last
Yeah,
meeting.
you're right, we did, I know we talked about it.
It said that the board discussed whether they should disband the committee or if it is feasible to keep the committee. Tricia stated that the
Oops.
intent was to get it up and running and self-sufficient.
That's me. I just missed it.
That we already did
The
it.
Board of Select
Yeah.
Persons' role now is to govern and see it continue to move forward. The board will
I missed
discuss
it.
quarterly.
You missed it. All
Move
right.
issue.
That's
I
all.
The
missed
moot
it.
point.
Move
Great.
issue.
Sorry.
Slight
Oh, I
miss.
sit here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What did you say?
I said, I sometimes I don't know why I sit here. It was just 2 weeks ago we just discussed this.
Okay, appointments, there were no appointments, transfers, no transfers. Tax refund and abatements, in your packet, you'll see the tax refunds and abatements. Please look over to make sure there are no, issues. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Public comment. Oh, correspondence, sorry. I have a letter from Tim Willis. I am not going to read it. I'm just going to pass it out to everybody. How's that? Maybe I have a letter. Yeah, I do. Five, there you go. Put one in for the letter. I don't know why he made so many copies. Letter from Tim Willis. Okay, that's that for correspondence. I feel like we're beating a puppy. Public comment. Number 18, public comment going twice. Public comment going 3 times. Thank God. Select persons public comment. Teresa, you want to go last? You want to go first?
I'm just finished up reading this, so I'll go last.
Okay. Pat?
In our packets, we have the 2025 Catherine Matthews. Yeah.
Yep.
Have we applied for all?
These are all the ones. This is from D. This is part of our correspondence. We've applied. This is what we've applied for.
That's what I'm getting at. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bob?
Okay. No, I just, from the public comment today, the amount of people who came in defense of Chris, and I'm thinking about what he did prior to even us thinking about a stipend, and the amount of effort, would be remiss if I didn't say, I called Chris right after he resigned. I sent him a text, actually, and I said, you can't resign. You have to stay on this job, because he is the guy for this role. He is the person for this job. And the public sees it, and he did it on his own, and so whatever we can do to keep Chris, I'm 1,000% behind, so.
Okay. Thank you. Al?
I just wanted to add about the Bungay project. I'm confident that, Town Hall, the Board of Finance, Bond Council, everybody will meet the Bungay School state deadlines and have all the necessary items organized so as not to uphold this important project. So I'm looking forward to getting this all together in the first meeting of June in a timely manner so as not to jam things up. So thanks for all the hard work.
Fred?
Once again, as chairman, co-chairman, co-chairperson of the Bungay Elementary School Building Committee, I would like to thank everyone for your support. Thank you.
Teresa?
And then my final words are, I discussed a lot about the emergency management director position. I appreciate all the townspeople coming out in support of him. I just wish that we could keep it less political, because that was never an intent, and I cannot say that strongly enough. And I would like to request that we have the Human Resource Director, Chris Pelosi, come to our next meeting and explain to us how he, again, came to that decision about the stipend and how he came up with that figure that he provided to us. If it wasn't a fair number, then we need to hold him accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on to my comments. So a couple of when Jim presented, he was supposed to do his 2025 new businesses. Bottom 9 Sports Academy opened up on 77 Derby Avenue. Encore Spirit Cheer and Tumble. There's a nail salon coming in on New Haven Road. Willow Academy Daycare is coming in on 85 Derby Avenue. Village Fabric Care Center we know is open. It's under a new owner. Dock 34 is adding an ice cream shop. Comcast is making renovations. There's a convenience store at 5 Bank Street. Cast Iron Pizza is open. Summer House is open. Seabridge Plaza has a new owner. Miller McCary Funeral Home has a new owner. And Sabo Auto Body Warehouse Edition. Okay, that was that. And on to my, I just had my notes. Okay. So, there's a couple of things coming in. First of all, I wish I had my notes. I have my notes. Oh, first of all, Teresa, here you go. Bye. Thank you. Your FOI regarding the EDC. Everything that has taken place for the EDC is in here. Meetings, minutes, Board of Select minutes from 2022, 2023, 24. Only thing's not on here in 25. These are all available online already. All right. And then you ask for the economic development vouchers. Her statements are in here. The committee members, since she was on the committee, are on here as well. And I got the dates as well. Okay? There's that. Okay. So, sorry, Al. There's a couple of new bills coming in from, well, they're raised bills. I wanted to talk about out of lectures. One of them is the Connecticut Appeals Board for Property Evaluation. The Connecticut, they're looking at putting in an appeals board, a state appeals board. So if you're not happy with your low level, the municipal level, the lower level of your appeals, you can then take it to the state, where the state's going to have 5 attorneys that they're paying to hear the appeals and to approve them or deny them. So we're still waiting to hear from that. And the other one is the act concerning the optional homestead property, which is kind of interesting because it says any municipality may, upon approval by its legislative body, municipality where legislative body is town is meeting by vote or board of selectmen, provide an exemption from property tax of not less than 5% and not more than 35% of the assessed value for owner-occupied dwellings, including condominiums. So before it was, there wasn't one in there, but now it's including condominiums as well. But the thing is, it has to be owner-occupied, so you have to actually be living in the condos to give them the break. So we're watching this bill closely, and the only thing I can think this is tied to is the fact that the motor vehicle tax is going away within 5 years. So they're saying, okay, we're going to take away your motor vehicle tax, and we're going to give you a little bit of break here, but only on owner-occupied, so that those that have the rental properties will be assessed at full value and will not get that break. I had the great opportunity of being part of Men Who Cook this past weekend with Mr. Stanek. And cooking, Mr. Stanek did eggplant parmesan, right? From Maddie's. Nicole Claridis and I did prosciutto from Jimmy's place, but we're across the aisle from each other, so it was great to see who was giving away more. We didn't have anything left. They had a lot, but I believe it's because they overbought.
We all purchased.
But it was so good. Both town budgets passed. The mill rate is going to be 27.72. Ocean State job lot is finally opening May 21st at 9 o'clock a.m. Update on the Botsford Bungay West Church Street Road. Traffic is going one way. I know, I can't wait.
I love that.
All right, Ocean
love
State
that.
job lot. Balance Rock is one way. I believe it's from Balance Rock to Carriage Drive. Route 67, we've had complaints about nails and debris in tires. I have forwarded the contractor contact information on Facebook to the people. If you remember, the George Street Park slide was removed. We're happy to say that the slide is back. Public Works went and they cleaned up the area. They put a brand new slide in there, so the kids have swing sets and a slide over in the George Street Park area. It's been a little rainy, so we haven't been able to do a ribbon cutting over there. This past Thursday, we had the annual day of prayer here in the Norma Drummer Room. On Sunday, I stated I met with Miss Puerto Rico and Miss Junior Puerto Rico from Greater New Haven. They were getting ready for an event at the barber shop, Fadeaway. They asked if I can stop in Sunday, and I did. Dunkin' Donuts grand opening on Seabridge Plaza opened. I mentioned team. And I mentioned Mr. Stanek, but speaking of Fred Stanek, it is my honor to announce that Mr. Stanek will be honored at the Valley Leadership Awards Banquet, which is put on by the Scouts of America in June. We're still debating on a date, the 24th or the 25th. So congratulations, Mr. Stanek.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's Fred.
Awesome.
Mentions 7074 about the tax exemption. I mentioned 556 about the municipal path. And here's one. This one's gonna like Mr. Stanek's gonna like this one. Legislations also details of our operational process for a new board, including the Freedom of Information Act, which turns 50 years old this year. Legislating is looking to change. They have advanced more than a dozen pieces of legislations that restrict the types of records people can obtain through FOI. If those bills are passed out of several legislative committees, earlier this year would eliminate access to higher education records, Connecticut lottery winners, the identities of people involved in hate crimes, the location of domestic violence centers, which I think people shouldn't know what those are, complaints about police and correction
Yeah, but they're worried
officers.
about the crazy spouses going and finding them.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I get that.
Yep.
Complaints about police and correction officers, and the home address from numerous groups of public employees. And there is also legislator awaiting action on the House floor that could enable school superintendents to participate in every executive session for local boards of education, meaning more government business could be discussed behind closed doors and out of the earshots of the general public. So this is something we're looking at as well. But CCM has been sending us all these legislative updates, so I think as we get some that are pertinent to Seymour and as they pertain to us, it's important to let the people know what is going on.
The latter part of that legislation has to do with the decision of the FOI Commission last year, which states that if an individual is invited into an executive session and he or she doesn't participate at all, that was an illegal entry into the executive session. Essentially, that's the decision. It was over a superintendent. Superintendent was invited into a session, and his testimony or comments were not even considered. He didn't say a word. Somebody filed a complaint about it. So.
That's interesting, though.
In the
Because what if they just listened and they were there for a good purpose but didn't have a comment?
But the statute states that.
That's ridiculous.
What if somebody else said what that superintendent was intending to say, and then that superintendent did not speak up because to do so would be verbose or redundant and unnecessarily prolong the meeting?
Right.
So, I think they're, you
That's
know,
a stretch.
Yeah.
Seems it.
but you never know. But the principle is that only those who are necessary and appropriate should be included within the executive
Right.
session. That's the broad principle.
Right.
You know, they might be stretching it a little on
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I,
So with
Somebody got
that,
made an example of. Yeah.
I will adjourn
well, think
the
about who
meeting.
would have filed the complaint. Who would know
You're
that the superintendent didn't say anything in
just gonna
executive session, right,
I'm just
Bob?
gonna, that's where I was.
Who
at.
would that be?
I was gonna. I
Who
was
could
at it
that
right
be?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just gotta love those new laws coming down.
It just
pumping
keep
them away.
on, just push them in.
Alrighty.
Oh my
So you
goodness.
turn off your phasers.